there folks, welcome you all to yet another podcast of mine. It is Flaggins Up Saturday, people. Yes, it is. We're coming at you on a Saturday this week for a number of reasons that I'm not going to go into because they're all very boring. But here we are, people. You know, as long as we get there, as long as we deliver such podcasts at the weekend, we're all happy, aren't we? Well, I am anyway. I'll tell you what, people, I have earned this today. Flaggins up to you all. Oh, you know I'd share it with you if I could, people. You know, I'm that kind of guy. You know I would. That is ice cold. It is lovely. Ice, baby. Oh. Well, I tell you, I've earned that, people, today. I went to the gym at about 12:30 and I did 2 hours full-on weights. And then I thought, fuck it, I'm going to get on the treadmill. And did an hour on the treadmill at a fairly decent pace as well, which was the best part of 10k. So I've absolutely hammered the fitness today, people. Woof! What? I've done 4 sets of exercise this week. If you can believe it, I've had an okay week as it happens. It turned out that when I was meant to be on holiday the week before this, I ended up having sign in sick for that week because I got sick again, people, pretty poorly. Thankfully, it wasn't like the previous one where it was like 3 weeks where I was out. I mean, it's just, it's got to be the gym where I'm picking this stuff up, but my immune system must be shot to hell. And I think I mentioned it in a video that I'd recorded pretty early on last week, very, very early on last week, where I was feeling really croaky and I wasn't feeling right. And by the time I'd finished recording, I had the worst fever I'd ever had in my entire life. I can't remember ever having a fever that was as bad as what I had that week. So the Monday lunch, from the Monday early afternoon through to the Thursday morning, the fever that I had was just unbelievable. Like, I was waking up, I wear like, you know, short and t-shirt PJs. They were drenched when I woke up. The bed sheets were drenched, and no, I hadn't pissed myself. It was all sweat. The worst night, the Monday night, was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. It was shivering beyond belief, like you were in the Arctic for ages. Then it would turn into sweats where you were just sweating all over the place. Then you go back to shivers and sweat. I mean, it was just like that all night, and I was waking up all the time, and it was just horrendous. Anyway, so that week became a week of sickness, and then this week has been a week of holiday, but the holiday's been pretty just sort of average because I still felt pretty shitty, even though I was able to start functioning again. I did a run on Monday and I felt bloody dreadful afterwards, but I managed to do it. And then I did a swim, I think, on Tuesday. And then I took a break on it was about an hour's worth of swim. So it was pretty full on. Felt pretty shitty after that as well. Then took a break on the Wednesday. And then, where are we on Saturday? Thursday I did weights. I did 2 hours of weights. Friday I took a break. And today I've just done that, 2 hours of weights again. And then an hour on the treadmill, which is about another 10k. So I've got my exercise going again after another week of getting set back, after just getting myself back from the previous illness. So it's been a good week so far as I've managed to get myself going again, but I've still felt pretty shitty all week, even though I've managed to get the exercise going. And even now I'm still I can still feel the congestion like there, just trying to shake it off. I'm pretty sure that this hasn't been COVID. I'm pretty sure it's been some sort of flu virus or some description. I don't think fevers and shivers and what have you. I don't think what I had there was a COVID type symptoms, but I could be wrong. That said, when I got my first inoculation or whatever it's called, vaccination, I actually ended up having body aches all night. It was only for an evening and then it was done, but I didn't have shivers and sweats and stuff, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the first one was COVID, but this was just a flu virus because we've just got no immune system to anything now because we've all been locked away for so bloody long. Anyway, I'm getting back to it, people, and as you can see this week I have managed to get some recording done. I will answer questions so far as Mashimi was asking if I'm going to do more. Well, let's kick off with that, shall we? Let's kick off with channel update, shall we? So this week I've been recording. I've had Victor Vran in. I bought it months and months and months ago after I finished the Diablo. No, after I finished Grim Dawn, I went looking for other similar type games, and I found Torchlight 2, which I did first, and Victor Vran, which I bought for a fiver from Game Collection or something, I think. So I finally got Victor Vran thrown on it. Do you know, I was absolutely adoring Torchlight 2, loving it, but it just wasn't popular on the channel at all. But it's such a really good game. I realise it's a 360 game that was revamped for the Xbox One, but it is fucking superb. It is such a good game of that ilk, that Diablo-esque type game. It is superb. I can't tell you how good Torchlight 2 is. And I really wanted to play more of it, but there wasn't enough interest on the channel. It was just sort of doing more harm than good, so I stopped doing it. I still haven't played any more of it off camera, but I'd love to get back to that game. Anyway, so Victor Vran I got at the same time, which is a bit more gothic style, but still top-down Diablo-esque type stuff. And that seems to be proving fairly popular. And I've also been recording. I've only recorded 4 parts of that. I think the 4th part might have gone up today. So I'll need to record some more for you guys if you want to see some more of that. And A Plague's Tale: Innocence, which is just incredible. Absolutely astonishing game. And I have mentioned it umpteen times in podcasts and vlogs that I must play that game because it got so many good awards and scores and, you know, game scores and stuff. And eventually I've got round to playing it. And I put the first episode on. It seemed to be really popular. People were watching it live. Got a nice set of likes for the amount of people that had viewed it. And then I thought, oh, well, that's going to be quite popular. So I recorded quite a lump of A Plague Tale: Innocence. But it's proven to just die a death after the first episode. So I don't know if people were just liking it and showing their appreciation for the fact that I'd finally got around to playing it and wanted to know what my opinion was of it, but weren't necessarily wanting to sit and watch somebody play it, you know. So I get it. It's fine. I suppose it's a story game, but it is fantastic. I'm having such a good time with that game. And I think what I'll do is I will record it to its end. I think I'm probably over halfway now. I've recorded about 8 hours worth, and I believe it's about 14 hours long or thereabouts. So I think I am going to see it through as a recording, but I might not put it up as regularly as it's going up at the moment, which was every day. I've still got 2 or 3 episodes that haven't been posted up yet. So I'll need to have a look at... I'm pretty sure I've got 3 of them, and I haven't uploaded them yet. So I think what I'll do is I'll just spread them out. Even though I keep recording them, I'll just spread them out with something else. So I'll do it as a second video of the day, which I have been doing anyway. And yes, for those people asking, Mishimi was asking, is there going to be any more Elden Ring? Yes, of course there will be. I was still enjoying that. But please give me a little bit of a break. You know, I've played nothing but Elden Ring for the best part of 5 months or something. When did it come out? Was it February? Well, I got March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, so I played nothing but Elden Ring for the best part of 4 months, basically. So I really just wanted to play something else. So just give me a little bit of space to do other stuff as well, and you will get more Elden Ring. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always calling me back. So I will get back to it. But I just wanted to try Victor Vran because it had been sat there for so long. Also, the channel, I think, was suffering a little bit from the fact that I'd only done Elden Ring for such a long time, and people that aren't interested in Soulsborne type games were just getting fed up with the same stuff going up all the time. So at least I've put a bit of variety up there now. But yeah, more Elden Ring will be coming along, people. Yes, it will. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. And obviously I'll do these if I decide to have a little flagon and do a weekly podcast for you. I think we've done one every week for the last 3-4 weeks. I think this will be the 3rd or 4th in as many weeks, I think. Well, maybe not I can't remember now. I can't remember if I did one last week because I was ill. That's going down far too easily tonight, people, that is. Right, well, we do have some gaming stuff to talk about. There was a random Nacon, or Nacon, whichever you call it. I call it Nacon. Summer sort of event, if you like. where they were announcing all sorts of things. You'll have seen from the thumbnail by now. I'm putting my glasses on because we're going to read the actual articles for some of this stuff. Well, actually, I didn't need it for Skull and Bones right enough. We'll start with Skull and Bones, actually, because I don't have an article to read on it. But Skull and Bones is an Ubisoft pirate game, effectively, as you can tell by the title, I suppose. But the thing with it is, I'm not sure where this game has come from as an idea or as a concept, as this like, as a company that big, you think, where's the gaps in the market? And I'm thinking, well, there's already a massive pirate game. It's called Sea of Thieves, and Microsoft make that one, and it's a constantly evolving game. It's always getting new content. So I can only assume that their reasoning behind it is that Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, is still so popular even now because of its, not because of the Assassin's Creed stuff that was in it, but because of the ship stuff that was in it, that they thought we need to make some sort of fully focused pirate game. I mean, bear in mind, this is not an Assassin's Creed game, and I've no idea what the playstyle is going to be like. It does seem to be third person. He didn't seem to see an awful lot of sort of action so far as you fighting other people, but we did see a lot of ship to ship fighting, so it does seem to be a great concept. I just don't know if it's I mean, I feel like it's going to be super popular, and also looking at some of the ship battles, I feel like they have taken a lot from the Assassin's Creed Black Flag ship battles, and if that's the case, then that's an absolute winner, because I loved the ship combat in that game. It was absolutely superb, and they've gone a lot more in depth with it, so far as it's not just cannons. You've got all sorts of weapons that you can use from the ships to fight other ships. And you start with nothing, effectively. You've got to build your first scraggy old ship and then get a pirate team together and then go off and start, taking down ships you think you can take down. And I think they were also saying that destroying a ship isn't necessarily the best option. So that means that obviously you must be able to board them and get more loot that way. There was all sorts of stuff going on. It does look interesting. I'm not sure it's going to be for me. And like a lot of these games that are coming out now, the first thing they kind of say is, before we go any further, yes, you can play this game as a single person, playing it on your own, and you can play through the campaign and all the rest of it, right? Now, for me, it feels a little bit like the people that want to play single player games are kind of being treated as second class citizens when it comes to games like that now, because it's like, we don't want to lose them, but we're not going to make games for them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we want you to buy our game, but we're not going to make single player games anymore. And it's like, well, I know you can argue that they are, and you're still getting Assassin's Creed games, but even Assassin's Creed games have now got co-op and stuff in them, haven't they? So, I think they just can't help them fucking selves to put co-op and fucking multiplayer into games when you don't necessarily need it. And I think the reason that they do it is because they feel like it's the only way to keep a game alive for a long period of time. Because if you make a single player experience, it seems to be, well, once you've played the campaign, that's it, you're done, and there's no reason for you to come back unless we stick something in there that's co-op. Well, frankly, that's utter bollocks. Why can't you make a single player game that gets regular content updates? Why not? You know what I mean? What's the problem? And then you'll get people coming back to the game and spending more money on the DLC and what have you. I mean, I suppose, I know Destiny's a co-op game, but Destiny does still produce massive campaign updates on a regular basis, which you pay for, but you get a great single player campaign out of it, and then you get all the raid stuff and all that as well. So, I mean, I suppose if you do it kind of in that style, that's fine. But there's an argument that says, is it really worth an extra 30 quid for the length of campaign extras you get from them? Sometimes it is, maybe sometimes it isn't. The Taken King, for example, it absolutely was. It was such a massive, monumental update. It was ridiculous. But for me, I think companies need to find a way of making a game, giving the game longevity without having to make it co-op. Like, why can you not make a single player game have longevity like a co-op game does. Just give us a reason to buy more content for it. It's, if you do that, you already, I mean, to some extent, I get that they see gaming as a community-based thing, but there are so many people out there that don't want to play fucking co-op. They don't want to play with other people, and they just want to play fantastic games. And, I mean, we will talk about, a little bit about single-player games again toward the end of the notes that I've got, because someone did ask about the EA comment that was posted up on Twitter recently. But for me, I don't understand why it's so fucking difficult to look at a single player game when you're making it and say, right, how do we make this game awesome when it launches and continue to make it awesome for the next 3 years until Team B or have Team B making it awesome for the next 3 years, and then we'll have a second proper follow-up to the game. I don't see why it's so difficult, and I think maybe if you're finding it difficult, you need to rethink your story structure. A lot of the time, like, if I recall, I think games like Dead Space 2 is a good example, probably. There was some DLC story content, but it wasn't for Isaac, if I remember rightly. It was a different character, maybe. Something like that. So you still have an option to do some DLC. In fact, The Witcher did it. The Witcher did it brilliantly. Had some fantastic DLC story-wise. So did Dragon Age. Dragon Age Inquisition had fantastic DLC that you could download. So there is absolutely a way of making more money from single-player games without having to put co-op all over them. Anyway, I feel like I get what they're trying to do. If they're trying to make it a sort of Sea of Thieves thing where everyone's playing together, and that's fine. I get it. It's okay. But I just hope that when they throw this comment in about, before we go any further, yes, you can play this game on your own. And it's usually followed up by, but you'll find it easier playing with your friends, or whatever, or more fun. But it'll be interesting to see what the single player experience of that game is compared to, multiplayer. I mean, I suppose you could argue that, I've played Diablo on my own, Diablo 3 and Diablo, the remaster, or whatever they decided to call it in the end. But I think you can play that. You are meant to play those games with other people, and it would make it a lot easier. So there is an argument that says I'm already playing games like that. Well, not games like that, but you know what I mean. Games with those sort of co-op options in there, and I just don't, and still enjoyed the games. So I suppose if they still have the care and thought into what is this like as a single player experience, is it still awesome? And yes, it is. Then that's fine. I absolutely have no problem with it. Like Destiny is. I didn't play. I did play some Destiny with friends, but mainly I played the campaigns on my own. But I did. I think. Can't remember now if I played. I can't remember now if there was a reason to go back and play them again on a harder difficulty or something I might have done with friends. But anyway, it looks like there's a lot of good in there. I'd like to see a bit more. From what I watched, I think I'd like to see a bit more in the way of gameplay, and a bit more in the way that you build up this sort of fleet of ships and all that sort of stuff. But if they've done it well, it could be a real winner. I think Sea of Thieves is, although it's a pirate game, it is more, I think, family and kiddie orientated. I don't think it's an adult game, is it? I think it is for everyone. This seems to be a bit more gritty and, so I don't know. I don't know what rating it was right now. It's probably told us on the trailer by now. But anyway, there you are. Skull and Bones. I haven't jotted down any sort of release date or anything for it. So this, by the way, is a really fly by the seat of your pants podcast. I had decided not to do a podcast this week, but through the week I had taken notes about stuff that I thought, that'd be interesting to do on whenever I do the next podcast. And then it was only when I was at the gym a couple of hours ago, and I was on the treadmill, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to do a podcast, and, you should, I hope you appreciate this, people, because the sun is splitting the trees outside. and I'm inside doing this. I had half a mind to do a cheap vlog for you and just do it from the garden, recording it at my phone. But obviously you wouldn't have had any... I mean, I might not have gone as in-depth as I'm going now, to be fair. I might just have done a channel update and a hello. But anyway, it might still be sunny by the time. I need to, once I finish recording this, then edit it together and then render it. And then, but while it's rendering, which now only takes 20 minutes or something because of fucking Filmora being so fast, I'll certainly get downstairs and still see a bit of the sunshine, I think. But, see the sacrifices I make to bring you podcasts, people. You know what I mean? I say sacrifice, at least I'm having a beer. It's half a sacrifice. I'm not seeing the sun, but, I mean, I have to shut the curtains as well in here, because if I don't and a cloud comes over, like, the lighting just goes completely crazy. I mean, it might still even with those curtains shut, but... So I can't even see the sun. I can see me flagging, though. Woo! Nice. Right. Should we move on? Anyway, Skull and Bones. It's on its way. I'm sure it'll be amazing for some people. I might even try it at some point, but it's certainly not something I would be buying at launch. Here's something I would take above anything else. I would take Assassin's Creed Black Flag with a fucking 60 FPS update. Can someone please fucking give us that? There seems to be every fucking bollocks Assassin's Creed game with FPS boost on it, apart from the one everyone wants, which is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. What's the problem? You know what I mean? Unless they've got some remaster they want to do, they'll fucking get on with it then. But give us a 60 frames per second version of that game, because I'd go back and play that again. And on the channel. A Robocop Rogue City, a new Robocop game, is on the way, and here's something for you people. Peter Weller is back as Alex Murphy, which is superb. And in fact, right at the end of the trailer, you hear his voice and he walks forward without the Robocop helmet on, and you see his face and stuff. That is really, really super cool. Now, here's the thing, right? I love it when... the thing that stands out is they've gone with the obviously, I mean, Peter Weller's there, so it's the 80s version of Robocop and not the most... I mean, I believe the recent version of Robocop was actually quite good. Did I watch that? Oh, yeah, I did actually. It's because he's stuck in a tower block and stuff, isn't he, I think? It was actually quite good. It was all right. But, there's a real vibe and feel to all the 80s stuff, isn't there, really? But Robocop definitely has that gritty 80s futuristic thing going on, which they look... that it seems to be that's what they've gone with, and none of the new stuff. So you've got Peter Weller back, you've got that 80s vibe going on, and it does look really, really cool. But here's the thing. Excuse me, people. It is made by the people that did the Terminator Resistance game, which got sort of mediocre reviews, I think, in general terms. I think it got like a 7 out of 10 or something like that, maybe. Certainly from IGN. But what fans have said is that it's the same developers that are making this Robocop game that made that Terminator Resistance game. But what the fans loved about the Terminator Resistance game is that they were very true to that 80s vibe and everything original Terminator. So it looks like they've done the same with this Robocop, and it looks like they're going to be very true to that original movie and bring all that 80s vibe to it. And I think that's fantastic. I love seeing stuff like that. In fact, I'd love to go and just play Terminator Resistance just to give it a whirl, just so I can be in that Terminator world for a bit. But it didn't blow anything out of the water as a game, but it did all right. And if you wanted to just step into the Terminator world and spend some time, shooting metal androids or whatever whatever they were called, whatever the words, T1 T, I can't remember what they're called now. But yeah, shooting down the Terminators and stuff, then I'm sure it's a great game to go in and spend some time in. And it's going to be the same with this Robocop, I'm sure. Robocop Rogue City, and it is coming in June 2023, people. So it's still a fair wells off, but I love that though. I love seeing stuff. I mean, I remember the Terminator game and the Robocop games that were on the Sega Mega Drive. And I remember being just totally blown away by them at that point in time. I mean, just I don't think we could envisage what we've got now when we were back on the Sega Mega Drive. But at the time, you had even that sort of 16-bit music was superb, because it had that real, if you go back and listen to that now, it's just got that proper 80s feel to it, that 16-bit music that is the music from the movie, but in that 16-bit format. It was just really, really cool. And there was a few other games that were like that. I think there was like a Batman one as well. But I distinctly remember the Robocop one and the Terminator one. In fact, was there not a Terminator versus Robocop one as well? It might have been. But yeah, I love seeing that retro. Anything 80s making a big comeback for me is just amazing. But then I'm an 80s boy, you know. Well, I was born in the 70s, but the 80s were when I was, you know, early teens and all that malarkey. The 80s were, I mean, you look, that vibe the 80s bring now, you just got to look at Stranger Things and how popular it is to see just how anything with an 80s vibe to it just is a massive hit at the moment. You can't go wrong with it. Anyway, yeah, I loved seeing that announced. Should we have a look at the article? I'll tell you what, we'll have a look at the article and we'll get all the facts, people. I have got the links, just like always. Well, like most of the time. Upcoming FPS Robocop Rogue City has shown off its first gameplay and revealed lead character Alex Murphy with the full likeness of the original actor Peter Weller. The game is now scheduled to arrive in June 2023. Shown off at today, this is IGN's article, by the way. Shown off at today's Nacon Connect showcase, we got a look at the game's dystopian Detroit from the first-person perspective of Robocop himself, amid what seems to be gang violence across the city. Combat appears to be a mix of gunplay and melee, with Murphy's targeting systems used to take out hard-to-hit enemies. We even see an ED-209 robot join the fray. Aiming for release on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, Robocop Rogue City will combine first-person shooter gameplay with exploration of Detroit and multiple-choice dialogue, according to Nacon. The game was first announced last year and is based on the original 1987 movie, but will tell a brand new story in that setting. It's being developed by Teon, which previously created Terminator Resistance. Robocop is an action classic and one of the best ever 80s action movies, anyway, they go on to talk about the actual movie. So there you go. I think we covered most of that in my free spiel. Without looking at the article, I remembered most of it, didn't I? An open world survival Terminator game is on the way and in development at Nacon. And, I mean, we saw the tiniest of trailers. Literally just a Terminator walking toward the screen and dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun music, which is always a winner, you know. So, it'd be interesting to see which Nacon developer is doing that. We'll look at the article, actually. It'll probably tell us a bit more. But it did, I mean, I'd be interested to see what this game is. I mean, I can't see it being... I mean, I'm wondering if it's going to be similar to, what was it called? World War Z? No, not World War Z. That was a movie, wasn't it? What was the zombie one? There was a zombie one where you kind of just appear in the world and you got to survive for as long as you can without dying, and then, you know, other folk can kill you and all sorts. Nacon has announced that it is developing a survival game set in the post-apocalyptic world of the Terminator. Announced as part of Nacon Connect 2022 showcase, the as-yet untitled Terminator survival game was revealed to be in the works at Nacon Studio Milan. It takes place in an open world and is set between the events of Judgment Day, the Skynet nuclear strike that causes the apocalypse, and the formation of John Connor's resistance. The game will feature an original story that draws upon the events portrayed in the movies. No gameplay has yet to be revealed. But we've seen a cinematic trailer shows off a T-800 hunter. The T-800, that's what I was looking for earlier. T-800 hunting someone in a warehouse-like environment. It's not much, but the drumming of the original theme tune can be heard in the background, so that's there at least. Yeah, and they just go on to talk about the fact that Terminator's kind of not been great since Terminator Judgment Day. So there you go. It would be interesting to see. I mean, we have literally no news on that game, and it was literally the shortest trailer you've ever seen in your life, which I'll probably have shown you by now. But again, another 80s vibe game coming round. I mean, they will, without any shadow of a doubt, stick to that whole 80s vibe with it, I'm sure. Gangs of Sherwood trailer, Nacon Connect. It's all from Nacon Connect, really. I think, all of this. Gangs of Sherwood. Well, the Gangs of Sherwood one was an interesting one because I couldn't quite make out from the trailer if it was an RPG, if it was an MMO, if it was. So I've actually, the link I've got here is to the game site itself. Oh no, it's an NME article. Gangs of Sherwood is a new co-op PvE game with Robin Hood's Merry Men. I'm sure, was there not a Robin Hood game recently by somebody, Focus Entertainment or somebody? I'm sure there was a Robin Hood game where you had to infiltrate the castle and nick stuff and get the hell out of Dodge. So it's very strange that there's another one sort of just appearing out of the woodwork. But anyway, Nacon has announced Gangs of Sherwood, a new third-person PvE game set with a reinterpretation of the Robin Hood legend. Revealed during today's July 7th, Nacon Connect's Steam Gangs of Sherwood is a new third-person co-op PvE game releasing sometime next year. Players will each take control of one of Robin Hood's merry men and work together to fight the Sheriff of Nottingham in a dystopian future inspired by the legend of Robin Hood. I believe you can be Marion as well. More details are set to be revealed about the game in the coming months, and you can watch the announcement video below. Yes, thank you. Developed by Appeal Studios, Gangs of Sherwood is set to release sometime in 2023 and will come to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. It's interesting that a lot of these games now are not touching back compat. They're not touching Xbox One or PS4. So it is nice. I'm actually quite pleased now that games are going, nah, fuck that. We're leaving them behind now. It's time, people. As shown in during the trailer, it looks like the game will embrace the sort of steampunk fantasy aesthetic, with each member of the Merry Men having distinct weapons like swords, hammers, bows, and arrows, and some sort of hydraulic gauntlets. Players Robin, Marion... Oh, fucking hell. Adverts popped up there, people. Players Robin, Marion, Friartuck... Don't get that name the wrong way around. Try a what? Or Little John. 4 heroes with unique, fully customizable gameplay styles and set out in search of riches to plunder so you can give them to the poor. From Sherwood Forest to the Sheriff's flying castle, the way forward is blocked by hordes of enemies, reads the YouTube description. Flying castle? Fucking hell, they've gone a bit out there with it. And then they talk about the games that we've just been talking about. Gangs of Sherwood wasn't the only reveal that Nacon Connect with the new open world Terminator game, Robocop and Moon City. Yeah, okay. It does say the new Terminator game will see players. The new Terminator game will see players suit up as a group of nuclear apocalypse survivors fighting to stay alive in a time period between Judgment Day and John Connor's Resistance. Yeah. Okie doke. The Lord of the Rings Gollum got a new trailer, people. I don't have a link to this because it was just I saw the new trailer for it. This is an interesting one, right? I've talked about this before. I kind of hope this game does well because I feel like there's a story to be told there. Everything with this game is going to depend on the story being interesting enough to want to play all the way through to the end. They have said that you meet people that you haven't seen in the movies before. You get to interact with people that you haven't seen, or people and creatures, I suppose, that we haven't got to see properly in the movies and stuff before. So I feel like they are trying to tell a story that's not been told before, and I hope that they have written a really good one. The script writers have got it good, because if they have, it will probably allow for the fact that I think the gameplay itself may become a little bit repetitive, because every time I see this game, you're just talking about sneaking around things, ledge shuffling, going across ledges, all this sort of stuff. It's all a little bit wondery, meandery, avoid the enemies because you can't fight. So it's going to all come down to, if you think about A Plague Tale Innocence, she can at least take on enemies if they suddenly see you. So you can sort of, try and get the sling out as quickly as you can. It's not great, but you try and take them. In fact, the best way to take down enemies is to take them out in stealth, where they don't see you, until it's too late. But there doesn't seem to be any of that with Gollum. I don't think the Gollum character can actually take down enemies at all. So that kind of limits the interest that's in the gameplay itself. So if you've got a gripping story, which you'll have to have if you want people to play through a game that's got minimal variety in its gameplay, then you need to have a compelling story. But I hope they've done a good job with it. It's coming on the 1st of September 2022. So it's not far away at all, and I'm kind of fingers crossed that this game does do well for itself, because I think it is nice that someone's doing something focused on Gollum. The only thing that's a little bit that I noticed in the trailer was that the person doing Gollum's voice is. You can argue they're doing an Andy Serkis, but the thing is, Andy Serkis pretty much portrayed what the book was describing. So anyone that does that character's voice is going to have to do it in a similar way. It's very, very descriptive as to what Gollum sounds like in the book. So to try and do anything else with it would just be daft. And to be fair to the guy doing the voice, I don't think it's Andy Serkis. I think it's somebody else. But it sounds fine. It sounds like Gollum, so fair place to it. Steel Rising, which is a Souls-like game set in an alternate history Paris, is coming along. And looking at the trailer, it does look very sort of I suppose you could say cyberpunky type, old cyberpunky, I suppose. That sort of thing. But it's all a little bit sort of alternate history. So what I've got here is the link to this. This was the one that was to the link to the Spiders Games that's making it. Paris, 1789. The French Revolution has been suppressed with the bloodshed by Louis the 16th and his merciless mechanical army. Aegis, a mysterious automaton masterpiece, must confront the king's army alone to save history in this challenging action RPG. Up against the king's mechanical soldiers, deadly accuracy will be needed. String together dodges, parries, jumps, and devastating attacks to fight your way through Paris. Every fight will test your nerve and requires excellent discipline, while the huge, relentless machine bosses demand patience and skill. Aegis, a character with extraordinary skills. Define your own style and upgrade your abilities as you progress through the game. You can play as a ruthless warrior, a hard-hitting bodyguard, a deadly dancer. Oh, hello. I'll kill you with my pole dancing maneuvers. Or a don't know where I'm going there. Where was I going with that? Or a virtuoso of the elemental arts. Take advantage of a wide variety of weapons and skills and to approach each fight in your own unique way. Using carriages, grapples, secret passages, a detailed map, and other methods and tools you find along the way, explore a city experiencing its darkest days. Your grappling hook adds a new dimension to exploration and Paris's verticality. Combined with your dash ability, it will provide access to all the city's secrets across multiple levels you can explore over and over again. Change the course of history. You are one of the main characters of an alternate history where Paris is being choked by a tyrant king. Allies and enemies with unclear motives will cross your path, such as Marie Antoinette, Lafayette, and Robespierre. It's up to you to cut a path through all the plotting and put an end to one man's madness so that the French Revolution succeeds. Yeah. So it does. It sounds really interesting. It looks really cool. The action looked really, really interesting. It does look very Soulsy as an action type game. The problem is that other games try to deliver that action of a Souls game, but they don't necessarily get everything else about it right. So you might get similar combat and similar style combat, but you don't necessarily get all of the intricacies that you get with a Dark Souls type game, where half the battle is the environment, for example, certainly in Dark Souls 1. And the weird lore and, the weird characters that you meet and all that sort of stuff. Other games have tried it. They've never quite nailed it. So it'll be interesting to see what Spider Games have come up with there. It does look really cool, though, and you'll have seen the trailer behind me, the gameplay trailer that was it might have been Nacon, but it was shown recently. Anyway, it'd be super interesting to see. I tried the other one. What was the other one called, where you were fighting robots and stuff? It was very Souls-like. There's been 2 of them now. What the hell was it called? I've tried the first one, but I didn't play the second one. But again, it was kind of okay for a few hours, and then I kind of felt like it was a bit samey. There wasn't enough lore in it. There wasn't enough interest in it, that sort of thing. Oh God, it nearly came to me there. Steal something? There might have been steal something as well. Anyway. And finally, this might be quite a short podcast, actually. I'm not sure how long I've been speaking for, but yeah, maybe not. Might have been going for 3/4 of an hour or so. But as I say, it was sort of last minute, and I just sort of had those notes from a few things that have been going on. However, the last thing I was asked by, I'm going to forget your name now. Serial Review, maybe? The serial's in the name. You know who you are. You know who you are, you awesome gentleman or lady. Serial somebody asked me to give my opinion on the recent comment on Twitter from EA, which was, the EA account. It was the EA Twitter account, so you never know who's actually in charge of running the bloody account in the first place. So it might have had nothing to do with EA, and just some silly twat says something daft, which they owned up to afterwards. To be fair, they were like, "Oh yeah, okay, hands up, fair play." But basically, they were making a mockery of single-player games in a very short statement. It was a meme going around that was like, they may be cool, but they only do this, or and they happen to post up, well, they may be, I can't remember the exact words, but it's like, oh well, they may be cool, but they only like single player games. It was something like that. So it was kind of poking at single player gamers and games in theory. And when you think about the fact that some of their biggest hits of recent times have been single player games, it wasn't the brightest of things to post up. I mean, you only got to look at Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order and what have you. I mean, even if you look at Dragon Age Inquisition and stuff like that, you kind of, I mean, I have seen articles since where saying that EA employees have been really pissed off with that statement, because they've clearly fought really hard with EA to get the opportunity to make, to tell them to fuck off. We don't want to make co-op games. We want to make single player games, some of these studios. And to get that battle through, and Jedi Fallen Order was a massive hurdle. Like they managed to make that game so successful, EA had to sit up and listen, that they are now making, and approving and staying the fuck away from studios that want to just make single player games and leave them to it, because it was so successful. They've realized they can make money. So to come out with a statement like that, just as and I'm sure it was just a side stupid comment by whoever's running the account, who just didn't think it through. And to be fair to them, they did bang in the microphone. They did hold their hands up and go, yeah, fair play, because all the comments were just fucking hammering them. And they held their hands up and went, yeah, okay, it was a stupid thing to say. The problem is that although it was a stupid thing to say and you're saying sorry, it sends a message to people that you still think that single player games are stupid, or they're not worthwhile, or they're not as worthwhile as co-op or MMO or PvE, PvP games. That's what it says. That's the message it sends out. So you should never really dig at one side or the other. as a person that produces games, if you were just a company that made co-op games and you were super successful at it and never made anything to do with first-person games, then maybe you can have a dig, because you're not going to upset your staff. You're not going to upset anyone. All you're doing is poking the hornet's nest that is gamers, and you might get a few remarks. But when your own company makes single-player games, you've just pissed off half your company. It's like all these people fucking crunching and working all the hours that God sends trying to make awesome games. It was a stupid ass comment, and I think someone was probably being severely reprimanded and slapped on the wrist for doing it. But you just got to think it through. It was like, it was like someone like me trying to join in with the young kids doing their meme stuff and getting it all kinds of wrong. It's like, oh, everyone's having a laugh, and then dad turns up and says something fucking stupid. That's basically what we're talking about here, people, isn't it? So there you go. That's my opinion on it. Some silly arse has had his wrist slapped, or their wrist slapped. Ooh, flagging's up, people. It's roasting in here. Do you know, this was... I'm saying it was a fly by the seat of your pants. I mean, I podcast, I had the notes. I had done no prep work. These pictures were... I grabbed them from Tinterwebs like moments before recording. So that I had something going on the TV behind me. And I was still, even though like at the gym, when I'd finished my 2 hours of weights, then did an hour on the treadmill, I always have a shower at the gym, freshen myself up before I come out. But especially when you've been running and it's hot outside, you're still kind of clammy, and you know, even after a shower, you're still sweating a bit. And I've still not cooled down properly. And this room is not the coolest, but with the curtains shut, I've got the bathroom is next to me, to this wall, and that window's open. The problem is if I open this window, the curtains will start flapping with the wind, and also you'll probably hear bloody seagulls and all sorts through the microphone and stuff, so I can never really open the window while I'm recording in here. I'd love to alter this room a bit. I mean, the thing is, to the right of me here is actually, this is the spare room. So to the right of me is actually a bed. So there's a bed there. And this half is where I work. So that my desk here when I'm working from home in my day job and for doing this sort of stuff is the desk is here. TV behind me, all the gaming-y bits. Which again, still annoys me that you don't see half of what's going on with my sort of historic games, and we've got the little little characters and stuff up there, and the lights. I mean, the PlayStation light is there, but I am always covering it up, so you only see the Xbox one. So I'm almost like I feel like you're watching an Xbox podcast. I mean, I could put the PlayStation lamp here, move a few of these characters, but what I'd love to do, I think, is be set up a bit more where I can just maybe just record like that with all of this behind me. In order to do that, I would need, where the camera is here, so we've got a desk there. We'd need another desk where the camera is, or a mini desk there that sort of has something that I could just sit at. And then behind me would be all of that stuff, and I could just record into it. But to be fair, I do like this setup. It's just a bit of a shame that I'm covering all this gaming-y stuff behind me. So it just takes a bit of the interest away. I don't know how else to do it. The only way I would be able to do it is if we dumped the TV idea with all the pictures on it, and you would just have the knickknacks and stuff behind me. But anyway, I could always rework the room for the amount of people that I mean, Aaronbury really is the only person that's going to sleep here of any regularity, and that's, you know, once or twice a year. And obviously that didn't even happen over lockdown. So I could, in theory, get a fold-out bed and actually open up the whole room as a full sort of studio type thing where I could do a lot more. But I don't know. I keep sort of thinking about it. But I do love this setup. I mean, it's not that long since this setup started. And the two new posters, the Last of Us and the Gears of War poster and stuff. I know you don't see all of them, but it is, you know, all adds to the ambience, people. And then, of course, the different pics every week when the pictures should be about roughly what I'm talking about that week. So that was the idea at the time. Anyway, I ramble on. That's all we had, people. That's all we had. I think we've done about 45 minutes, maybe. I can't remember. I did have multiple starts to this video. Every time I started it, I thought I don't like that start. So I'm not quite sure when I started recording. But anyway, I think it's been about 45 minutes or so. So I think we did all right, I think, considering I thought it was going to be a short one. Flagging's up to you all, people. Flagging's up to you all. Well, there you are. Let me know in the comments below about any of the things I've been talking about in this podcast of mine today. And I really appreciate the fact that my podcasts nearly always get more likes than any other video that I ever put up. Apart from early recordings of Let's Plays that are of things that haven't been posted up before that are getting a stupid amount of views. But for regular videos, like my podcasts always get a good for my little channel, a good quantity of thumbs ups for the amount of people watching. So I always appreciate that. So thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button. Remember that you've also got the subscribe button, people. If you stumble across this video and you're not subscribed to the channel and you like what you've seen, then by all means hit the subscribe button. And also, I believe there's a bell you can now click as well, which if you click the bell, you'll get notified whenever I do something new. So there you go. So there you are, folks. That's all I have for you. It has been, yes it has, as always, an honour and a privilege serving for you in this podcast of mine today. And I shall catch you all in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.